right, Marcus, what's popping? Just me. I know you had a decent amount of pushback in the chat. It wasn't like you pretty much just talking. You saying what you disagreed about. Marcus, what's popping, man? Rue, what's going on?
Man, I can't call it. So I appreciate you having me up. How you doing, Mr. Sotomayor? What's up, Trigger Mike? Fantastic. Just me. To make my position it completely clear, I disagree with what you say, Tommy, but I'm not going to disrespect you in any way. I'm gonna maintain the conversation on the points of the conversation that I've heard thus far. And I'll try my best not to even involve any of the previous conversations because I believe maybe you've matured since those points. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Some of the older statements. And so I'm like I said, I'm not trying to bring that up.
Why? Hey, can y'all just go ahead and say what y'all got to say? Don't come in trying to disrespect somebody. You've matured since then. I don't know.
No, what I mean is statements like black women can't be raped and those type of things. I'm saying I believe you've furthered from
I
those
don't know
points.
what comments you're talking about to know if I've matured because some comments you might make, but I still feel the exact same way. So to say I believe you've matured, just say what you're saying and I can discuss what
Marcus,
you're saying.
just whatever.
Okay.
Maybe
I
predicate
asked some
commentary on today.
I asked the question. I didn't. I said I believe, right? And I always say you can correct me if I'm incorrect about my assumption, right? Most of the time I phrase it in a question. I'm not coming up here to argue.
Past something that I don't even know what you're going to say. Listen, think about it. I can't say I've matured past something that I don't even know you're going to talk about.
Okay, so the things that I was speaking on would have been the most extreme rhetoric that you were using. I can bring some of the examples up. I was trying to jump over that and ascertain why I wasn't.
Then you could have just went ahead and went to what it was and let me tell you how I think today. And then you would have known then you would have been able to say this versus that. You know, that's how they do in science.
That's fair.
You don't talk about what the experiment got before. You just make the new experience and then you share the notes.
Yeah.
That's fair. So then I would have to re-ask those questions then.
No, you could talk about the new questions that you said you had today.
The assumption
you said you had new questions
mature is the reason why I
compare them to my old stance.
So yeah, Marcus, specifically what? So you were giving him credit where you said you think that he matured at that point. So that was you believe. Sorry. So that was more just commentary. So what do you actually want to discuss with them?
Let me ask a direct question here. Has your rhetoric from when you initially came on YouTube, has it changed in any way? If so, what has it changed to?
It's a broad question, so I'm going to say that the majority of the things that I speak about and believe, I still speak about and believe. I don't think I've changed very much. That's why I sound pretty much the same, except I've gotten older and I may not be able to raise my voice the way I used to.
Okay. Do you believe black women can be raped?
Can you guys say the YouTube terminology?
Yeah.
Great. I apologize.
Anybody can be. What I was talking about was I was making a joke towards the white idea of them saying white because the numbers are damn near non-existent of white men doing it to them. They can't have it happen to them. I was talking specifically about white men. But y'all never say these things, and I understand it because you got a group of people you're trying to impress, which makes this question seems really weird. I just did a show last night about a black. I just did a show last night about a black one that had been raped. So apparently, I do believe they can. I've done several about them.
You cleared it up for me. That was one of the things I needed to hear answer from you. The other thing, I heard you guys were talking about coaches that did not play being the better coaches. In my experience, those coaches usually get into those positions through either nepotism or relationships that gift them great teams. That doesn't necessarily make them better coaches because they did not play. From what I've observed, like you mentioned a Phil Jackson or some of the other people you said that did not play.
I didn't mention Phil Jackson.
Well, in the chat. So when I say you, I'm speaking in general with the people who agree with that sentiment. Right.
Oh, so there's not a question it's not a question to me, it's a question to the chat. Okay.
So the question is to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
The question is to you. Do you feel that is an adequate representation of people who can't do something are the best at teaching others to do it? And if so, why do you believe women who don't have a man can't give instruction on how to get a man?
Well, number one, I didn't say people who aren't good at something are the best at doing it. Ham and I were talking about sports. in terms of sports, the person who doesn't know science isn't good at teaching science. It's the person who's never who doesn't know how to fix cars isn't the person that's good at teaching how to fix cars. This was literally speaking about when we were talking about sports, and the person isn't that they don't know how to do sports. They just had to work harder because they had to observe, because what came naturally to somebody else was more difficult for them, which is why Einstein, smarts came naturally to him. It was difficult for him to be a teacher because he didn't understand why you didn't just get it. But the guy who had to work to get it, he knows what it's like for you to not get it on the first try. He's patient with you. That's why the hitter is patient with the hitter that's not hitting. The guy who hits, he's not patient because he don't get it. Mike don't get why you can't just do it. So that's what I meant. So it's not a person who's just completely green and doesn't know their way around it. It's a person that had to work at it. They had to fail a lot. So they respect and understand other people that had to fail.
Okay. Fair enough. I think that still relates to those women, but I could see how that could not also relate. But I'll pass on that. The other thing I wanted to ask you was, do you feel responsible for the current rhetoric or the current rage that men display towards Black women specifically in the space that's titled after the Tommy Sotomayor sector, I guess you would call it on YouTube?
I've never heard that, but I'd love to be.
Well, when you type it in the algorithm, it says your name in the beginning. I think when you search this show and a couple others, it's all under that, like your name as the tagline.
Well, people tag my name.
No, by YouTube.
No, I'm saying people will tag my name in their shows because they know my name still brings numbers. If you're doing the show, it'd be best. It's just like if you tag Apple or Samsung, you tag what it is. But
it's a marketing. It's a marketing thing.
Huh?
No, I'm just saying it's a marketing thing. Like if you see mine come up, it's because he was on that show. But people will put him in there, and he never even know what the channel, even the name of the channel is. That's all.
It's just a smart thing to do.
They do that with This Might Be Risky too, Marcus. Like I'll see it and I'm not even involved in it, but it's smart marketing. That's all. But go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. But I will say this: do I feel responsible?
Mm-hmm.
It's great that you would ask that question, except for you won't ask this question. Have you ever asked women, do they feel responsible why I existed in the first place?
I have not.
No, and you won't. But if you were being fair, you would. Just like you just asked that question, that these men exist. And here's the end of it. These men probably exist for two reasons. One, because they believe I got rich off of it and they want to get rich too. Two, maybe they actually are going through these things with these women and feel like they should voice it too. Just like the people who suffer from cancer or the people who've been beaten or molested when they were kids, they all start to speak up, just like the Me Too movement. All these things happen and y'all try to act like y'all don't see it in everything else. Just like the movement of Blacks wanting to be integrated. Just like the movement of Blacks wanting to not sit in the back of the school bus or the back of the bus. You know what happened? It had to be one person to stand up and say it. And you don't say to her, Rosa, do you feel like it's your fault that these Blacks are now wanting to sit in the front? You would never say that. You would never say, Martin Luther King, you think it's your fault these Blacks are now wanting their civil rights? But you use it as a fault when these men are asking to be treated fairly. Whatever discourse they're having, like the woman that Robbie Privilege said and the others said, these women are coming in here to have a discussion with men being rude with these men and expecting these men to not be rude with them. You're being rude to people who aren't even being rude to you, which means that is what you do. You're asking me to, when I talk to a camera or anybody else who's talking to a camera, giving their opinion, to be nice to people they don't see. But you won't be nice to people you actually see. And that's what's scary.
Okay. When you were saying you speaking to me specifically or the women in general that you were referencing earlier?
Speaking in general to any of the people who have somebody said, Tommy will sell y'all into slavery. Okay. So now you're using slavery, which no one has ever experienced, to scare people to not listening to someone who has a different opinion than yours while you're listening to me. So you listen to me, but you can discern if I'd sell you into slavery, but other people can't. You, sir, you were able to listen to me and discern if I was full of shit or not. Why is it other people can't? Why is it other people can't hear the message and learn from themselves? Isn't that the best way to teach a populace, that they have the ability to see bullshit, not that you have to be the arbiter of bullshit? You have to protect them from bullshit, like how that woman said, y'all up here listening to this man. Shouldn't you want an intelligent populace that can listen to someone and discern if it's for them or not? Oh, y'all ain't hear me?
Yeah, no. So I think that a free exchange of ideas should always be welcome, and people should have the discernment to see, you know, what they think doesn't fit right with the Constitution. I think my issue comes in where, like, so, like, are you familiar with like Joseph Joe Bells or D.W. Griffith or any of those people historically that led like so Joseph Joe Bells was for the square people, the Yahtzees. He was their minister of propaganda. Or D.W. Griffith would have been the minister. It's the man who directed Birth of a Nation. So the propaganda against Black Americans, right? I think that, and you can even go to the Rwanda incident as well. There's things that supersede acts that become very violent, tumultuous situations. And if only it could have been prevented prior to the portion of the propaganda spreading and taking root, then we could have prevented an actual event from occurring, right? So I know the Homeland Security has labeled like a lot of the male spaces as like onboarding to male supremacist terror groups and that type of stuff. Now I think that's extreme, but I do think the propaganda does need to be filtered and checked in some way. Do you see yourself as a figure like a D.W. Griffith or a Joseph Joe Bell?
Well, let me ask you something. What has the propaganda caused?
So, from my observation, right, and it would to assign some of the violence that occurs, I don't think that's fair, because anybody could watch a video, and if something actually happens, it could be a lot of contributing factors at this point. But it appears as though the sentiment between Black men via the internet and Black women has been heightened, and it continues to grow to a fever pitch that does not seem reasonable for the betterment of any community, let alone ours.
So you have no empirical evidence of any violence or anything rising because of this thing, but you do have empirical evidence that alcohol causes deaths and ruin families. But we're not trying to go up and be a simp for alcohol being banned.
So,
but YouTubers.
I think we've crossed into the ad hominem, sir. I have not disrespected.
No. That's not maybe you don't know what ad hominem means.
You said you're being a simp for well, you wouldn't be a simp for alcohol. You're crossing it over.
No, I'm saying nobody would be a simp for alcohol, meaning that someone would sit there and simp for alcohol. They wouldn't say, well, hey, we need to do it, when they should. They should, because alcohol, so it's not ad hominem when I'm saying they should do it. They actually should, because we have evidence that shows that alcohol is destroying families and people. We have evidence.
And I think there are organizations against them.
No.
I apologize for cutting you off.
It's quite legal. It's quite legal. You can see it during the Super Bowl commercials. It's quite legal. Show me the group. Maybe I don't know about it. Show me the group that's out here trying to make alcohol illegal. Please tell me about that group. I don't know them. Tell me about them.
So I'm strictly speaking to people that would be the groups that are anti pushing alcohol in places. So you would get probably.
Don't say, tell me about this group.
Okay.
If you knew about that guy who was Birth of a Nation, that's something you weren't even alive. But you don't know about alcohol?
So I would say this is something that you brought up. If I was to guess offhand, I would say possibly Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't know. That's not my field.
Anonymous is trying to stop you from becoming an alcoholic, not drinking alcohol.
Right. What I'm saying is they're dealing with the repercussions.
So maybe there needs to be some Tommy Anonymous or some
Yeah, that would be actually good.
yeah, so
Some
guys who are overusing it, and you know what an alcoholic is, we can describe what an alcoholic is and what they do and how it harms their life. So you need to find those guys who are listening to Tommy and what they're doing and how it harms their life and how many people that they're killing while driving, listening to Tommy, how many women that they're destroying, how many women that they're offing, they're deleting. If you had those things in front of you, and I want y'all to understand, when you talked about propaganda, what you're saying is more propaganda like what he was doing, because he was trying to propagandize blacks as they will do this to black white women if you don't keep them under control. And what you're saying is these men will do this to women if you don't keep them under control. Somebody
that's
say
that's a mischaracterization.
no, it isn't.
I
It is
asked
literally what
you
you're
a
saying. You
specific
have no
question.
evidence. You have no evidence, just like that white man who did Birth of a Nation, that black
I asked you
men
a specific question. I asked you a specific question.
Listen, you have no evidence. That white man, you brought it up. I let you write your own ticket and make your own noose. That's why I let you talk.
Okay.
You made this noose. You said that this white man, if he had been stopped earlier from trying to make blacks out to be villains, it could have stopped a lot of violence. And
yeah, I said I believe that. I didn't provide evidence for that either. So to make this argument,
no, you did. You said that there was actual violence, historical violence.
But I have no proof that it could have stopped it because it didn't stop it. So to
I
make
know,
that
you
argument
said
is
if.
crazy.
I know, but the evidence that you did provide was that there was violence, right?
Right. And what did I
What I'm
preface it
saying
with?
is you're now trying to say that part of what
I tried to keep it respectful. You're trying to create a narrative that I did not say.
Sir, what you compared it to was
I'm trying to keep it super player with you. We about to go off the ledge, and I'm not trying to go there.
You're not trying to let me finish after I let you do all that talking. Now I can't talk.
Right, go ahead. Go ahead, bro.
I literally let you do all that talking. Even when you mischaracterized what I did, I let you finish.
I asked you a question before. Everything has been posed as a question.
Let's not have a conversation about the conversation. Tommy, go ahead, finish your point, and then Marcus,
I was just
you
trying
can reply.
to sit here and make him understand this simply. You were saying about the Birth of a Nation that this man propagandized blacks and how they are the black males,
right?
How they could be a problem to white society, and they would be trying to take these white women.
Correct.
If you let them out. The if still exists when you were talking about me, because that's why I specifically tied you down and I said, do you have any evidence of what's happened with the Tommyism? And you couldn't find any. You said, and then doubled down and said, well, people believe that if we had stopped him from putting that propaganda out there, we could have saved a lot of violence. That's what you're doing with me and the Tommyism. You're trying to make them believe that, just like that white man who made Birth of a Nation, if you don't stop them now, it's going to get worse. And once you keep doing that, you turn us, the Tommyites, into Negroes.
Do you think there are any parallels? Do you think there are any parallels to the propaganda that I'm referencing and what you actually do?
No, I think there are parallels to the propaganda you're doing. You didn't hear it? You're doing me like you're doing me and the Tommyites, just like that guy did Negroes. You're trying to get people to do pre-crime, to tell them that if they don't stop it, it's going to get worse. But you haven't seen anything happen. You tell
I give you an example.
The violence that could come.
Right. So you asked for metrics and tangible data that I could cross-reference. But the observable reality is we've seen situations occur where, like, so the brick lady that was lying, right? The entire Tommyites decided that it was a good idea to laugh and encourage that type of behavior and violence against women. Since when have men been proud of any violence occurring at the hands of men to women? These type of things is part of that envelope, and where I've seen men operate like this.
Have you ever heard of 8-Ball MJG?
I wasn't finished, sir. I wasn't finished.
Have you ever heard of 8-Ball MJG?
I'll let you finish. I'll let you.
Never happened. I ask you, have you ever heard of 8-Ball MJG?
Well, yes, I have, but I was still speaking.
8-Ball MJG. Never how you beat their ass. Never how you took their cash. Never how you. This is rap music back in the 90s. When you want to sit up here and talk about that's not true, you're a liar. Men have not only had it, but back in the days in the 40s and 50s, you know what would happen if a man did have violence against his woman and she went to the police? They bring her back home. They you ever heard of Ralph Cramden? What would he say when he would get mad at his woman?
Boom, Alice, straight to the moon. I remember all those things.
Lies.
Okay,
That's all I ask.
Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, so again, it's a go downstairs, y'all. You gotta pardon me. The kids is up right now and they running up. The point that you said about the violence. Okay, so the point I was trying to make was, in order for me to speak factually about something that I could observe and provide data behind, I can't. However, the observable reality is it's noticeable the shift in the male attitude currently because there was a time when it wasn't like this. In the recent future, now, if you want to go further back, I get your point that men were able to abuse in the 50s, 60s. There was some form of mass education, which let men know that abusing women was not the right thing to do. And within that time, it seems as though your rhetoric is dragging it back down that way, vis-a-vis
You have no measurables of that. So, but you can say it. Same thing the white man was able to say with Birth of a Nation about black men. I still don't see how you don't get it. They were able to put fear in people that didn't exist. You just told me that since I've come, that there's been more violence against women. You don't have any numbers to back that up, yet you said it.
See, you're mischaracterizing the point again. I asked you a question and then you asked me, why do I believe that, in so many words? And I said, this is the reason I believe it in. It was preemptive, because then I'm saying that men are
same thing the Birth of a Nation did. It was preemptive. We can't let those black men get out. When they get out, this is what they're going to do.
So, sir, are you saying that I'm saying that you're preemptively doing something, or I'm saying that they are?
You're doing it. You're trying to
You're presenting both arguments. So I'm asking you which one is
presenting one.
You want me to address?
Hold on, just 1 second. It's a little bit unclear. It's getting cloudy. So, Marcus, what is your initial question?
My initial question was, does he feel like his propaganda has a negative effect on black people in the ways that those other propaganda machines have had? And then we got here.
Compared to something else.
And so right. when we bring up the Brick Lady thing as an example, when he brought up all the rap and hip hop records in the 60s and 70s, all that preceded Tommy when men were acting like that towards women. So we then by proxy, he wouldn't be the catalyst of that because it was already happening.
Okay, so
on his answer.
Go ahead. Okay, no, that's fair. And I would say there's a difference between how we view entertainment. Like, so a movie is different than somebody taking that and creating podcasts about this is my ideology now. So the music, like most people never sold no kilos of cocaine, yet they was yelling and singing, push it, push it, push it. But if they were to go on a podcast and give their ideology, now I believe that pushing cocaine, that's a different animal is what I'm saying.
Okay.
You see the
more people started selling cocaine and pimping because they started having pimping movies and pimping and selling cocaine songs. I can't believe he said that. More people joined gangs because you had NWA and the West Coast people talking about gangs. I can't believe you just said entertainment doesn't cross over into people's real life and then told me I'm not an entertainer because I got a podcast which falls right under what? Entertainment. This is insane.
So what I said, the correlation that you're making statements that I'm not actually saying. So just
what you're saying, then. You get to say things and respond to them, then you back up from them.
You're creating a different narrative off of what I'm saying. When you ask me,
hold on, Tommy. Let's do that. Let's say it one more time because I gathered it similarly to how Tommy gathered it, Marcus. So say it again because I understood it how he understood it just now.
So the point I was making is that if you listen to the music and movies, right, as entertainment, yes, art can imitate life in some way, but that's completely different than somebody taking the art imitation of life as opposed to creating an ideology behind it and then going on podcasts and spewing the ideology if it's their reality.
So what about PJ Magic?
Hold on, Raw.
All right, I'm be quiet.
Yeah.
It's hard to listen to, isn't it?
Hold on, Tommy. Let them get the full thought. So we maybe I missed something. I'll put on some. Maybe I
you didn't miss anything.
Go ahead, Marcus. See, so Marcus, here's where. So in terms of having an issue with it is, do you remember? You know why we love Scarface? It's not because it's a great movie. It's because we could see this immigrant go from nothing to something. That was the inspiration back in the hood. Like Scarface is great, but it ain't the best, you know. Right. That story, we like, oh, I can be Scarface. And then so it has I would argue that it has the same effect as this me spit in front of this microphone. You think that this is more impactful?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Okay, again, the rappers were selling millions of albums. The movies were making. There was niggas watched Bruce Lee and went outside and kicked each other in the chest.
Oh, 100%.
You might not be as old as I am, but
I kick mad niggas in the chest.
We watch Bruce Lee and go outside and get to kicking each other.
100%. Hey, Tommy,
those shows got full because of Bruce Lee.
I pulled my brother off the steps every time he was going up the steps after Kareem did it. 100%. 100%.
That ain't even count wrestling. That ain't even count WWF and WCW.
Yeah. I don't know, Marcus. I understand what you're saying, but it's a difficult argument to gather. It just
I have less viewership than these other things, but he's saying I cause more of a problem. I don't understand it. There's empirical evidence that corn causes issues with people in relationships. I ain't heard none of y'all try to ban that, and it should be. Number 2, alcohol. Number 3, the internet, period, has been shown that they said psychologists and psychiatrists say that no one under the age of 16 should be on the internet because of the damage it causes. I ain't heard none of y'all try to stop that either. But Tommy, he's caused the problem. But you can't quantify it. Every one of these other things I pointed out, sir, can be quantified. You can't quantify me. And I wish y'all would do it.
Okay, so I would agree with you on the harms those things cause. When it comes to the internet in specific, I always talk about the propaganda that runs through the internet and how that affects the people. So it's not like I'm devoid of speaking on that as well. The thing that is a metric for that, because they're actually studying that, is 13-year-old girls suicide, self-deletion rates increasing, right? So you can see the effect and how that's playing out. There is no specific study that I'm aware of outside of probably some petitions about the effects of what you're, what
That's
I believe.
it should be. If it's that bad, why wouldn't y'all do it? There's a reason why they did the studies of these other things, because they saw they were bad and somebody wanted to prove it, because that's what you do. That's the difference between being black. Black, you don't have to prove the shit you say. You can just say it. Other cultures believe that if you're going to say something's bad, you should have some empirical evidence to show it. So you and any of y'all have had how many years of me doing this? And y'all ain't decided to do a damn bit of study about it, huh?
So I probably came on YouTube probably like 2.5 years ago. I seen some of your content via a clip, right? And then I went to watch what I could from that clip. So in long form, you say what?
You had 2 years of study.
It was not primarily dedicated to you, sir.
Because you told me since I've been on, and that was your initial argument. Since I've been on and been doing what I was doing, you've seen violence go down. Now you turned around and go the respect for women.
I didn't make that argument. I didn't make that argument.
Now you just stood up here and said you've only had 2 years.
Again, you're making arguments that I did not make.
No. These are actually things you said.
You're saying I said I saw violence go down because you've been online.
No. You said you saw the respect for women go down.
I gotta
go up.
I gotta get Jess in, man. Marcus, we'll circle back. Y'all had
hey, did I say that? I mean, him. Did I say what he's saying? I said.
Yes, you said it.
Fantastic. You biased, brother. I'll ask him.
Not biased, brother. I got ears.
Okay.
You literally said that.
Right,
you said. My bad, him.
Yeah, because I don't want to belabor some more. We can circle back to it. I want everybody to be able to clarify their arguments, but I think y'all had a decent amount of time to have it back and forth. Let me get Jess
in the comment section who was saying, sir, that you said it. I literally listened very well. I don't argue something you didn't say.